everything is written. Yes, and written, being written by you. So this moment is written by all of that which led up to it. All of your past karma, your actions, the whole package deal. All of the different types of karma. There's 3 main different types of karma depending on how long they take to bear fruit. So the type that bears fruit very quickly, the type that takes a little longer, and the type that ultimately could be later in this life or in another life. That which is happening now is because of something, or a whole mix of things from the past, including things you've done, including aspects of your whole karmic package, even astrological aspects, family aspects. I mean, so much of who you are is the genes you got from your parents, right? Well, did you do that? Not directly. But when we look at consciousness and we look at karma, what we know is that you were born in that family for a very specific reason. And that reason had to do with the sum of the past karma. It also had to do with that which you needed to go through in this life. So karma is not just retroactive. It's not just that which I have now is because of that which happened in the past. Some of it is I have it because of what needs to happen for me in the future. What I need to experience, exactly what I need to learn, what I need to go through. And what specific situations are going to be those that are most conducive for my unfolding. So it's not quite as simple as just what you need to experience. You need to experience poverty. You need to experience wealth. You need to experience sickness. You need to experience longevity. It's not quite as simple as that, as the next step for you in your unfolding, in your realization of who you are, due to all of the other factors, due to this very specific, what today we would speak about as, an algorithm, due to all of that, the experience of being in poverty, or the experience of being in wealth, or the experience of success, is a situation that's going to make you able to take that next step, that's going to help you peel back the layers better. So this moment is written by those. But your next moments are written by what you do now. That which you're doing now is writing your tomorrow, your next week, your next month, your next year. So yeah, it's written. And you're the one writing it. So we should never feel stuck by it. It's, when we speak about free will, for example, and karma and the relationship between them, it's always a yes and yes. And so what that looks like is, yes, you have absolute free will. Yes, you can write your future. You can even write your present, however you want. And there is this karmic package that it has to also abide by. So for example, I couldn't write a present or a future that said star basketball player. Okay? My karmic package at this moment is 47-year-old American female, 5'3". Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that I have less free will. I could practice basketball all I wanted. I could spend 24 hours a day dribbling. I could hang around with professional basketball teams. But if I had my mind set on the fact that that was going to be the world I was going to manifest for me, was as a player of it, I'd be disappointed and I'd be frustrated. And so this is where it's really yes and yes. So yes, we have free will. And, I wouldn't go back and say, well, it was written that I wasn't going to be a basketball player. Well, on some level, sure, because I decided to become a basketball player at 47. So up until now, all of that which I've done, consciously and unconsciously, including things like just aging, right? I haven't done that on purpose. It's just happened. But because of that, there's certain results that my exercise of free will can manifest, and certain results it can't. And even at 15 or 8, I had decided basketball player, chances are, because I was already in a karmic package that had a bone structure that wasn't going to make me more than 5'3". I have a genetic bone structure that just tends not to be particularly buff. And so even if at the age of 8 I had decided basketball, I probably could have been a pretty good basketball player, but probably not pro. I probably still never was going to get a place on some pro basketball team. And so when we talk about our free will compared to our destiny or that which is written, we have to understand that it still abides by the law of nature. I can't exercise my free will to walk off a building and fly. My free will could make me walk off the building. But the law of nature that says I'm not a bird, I'm a human, is going to make me fall rather than fly. So is it written that I'm going to go splat on the ground? Well, only if I choose to use my free will to walk off a building thinking I can fly. The law of gravity was written. The fact that in my life I was going to be subject to the law of gravity was written. But this walking off a building thinking I can fly because I can do anything was a poor interpretation on my part of things I heard or read or believed about my power to do anything. Does that make sense? So, yeah, things are written, and yes, you have free will. Yes, you are the one doing the writing. And there's a lot of things that can be changed. But there are some parameters that can't be changed. If you were writing a script for a play, well, there's certain things that we can do on a theater stage. And there's certain things you can't do on a theater stage that you can do in a movie. Digital animation, you can do it in a movie, not on Broadway. It's a limit. It's a limit of the medium. And so when we're writing our script that's going to be played on a very real stage of our life, not with the digital effects and the animation effects and, cutting and splicing things together, but actually on a real stage of our life. There's parameters. But within those parameters, you're writing your own life. And the last and important piece of this is, even with the parameters, what you have entire free will over, 100%, is how you respond to what happens. That's in your power entirely. So I decide I'm going to be a pro basketball player. I give it a few years. It's not going anywhere. Now I'm, 50 in female rather than 47 in female. I've got a couple of choices. One option is I become miserably depressed. I drink myself into oblivion. I start taking drugs because I'm just so depressed that I have to escape the depression of my mind, or what's the point? If I can't be what I want to be, there's no point of living. That's one option. Another option is I berate myself and say, you're just not practicing hard enough. Forget sleep. Forget eating. Forget your family. You're going to do this because you can do anything. And I push myself even harder. 5 years later, then I'm 55 and 5'3" and female and still not a pro basketball player. Or I could say, all right, so this is the direction the wind is blowing. I can't change that direction. I cannot rewind and go back and become a 6'4", 17-year-old male instead. I can't rewind and come out of the womb of, the woman who was the champion Olympic basketball player instead. You can't rewind and do that. So, all right, this is the direction the wind is blowing. This is the direction the current is going. Am I going to keep trying to swim upstream? Am I going to keep trying to sail a boat right into the wind so that it takes all my energy just to stay afloat and I actually get nowhere? Or am I going to readjust? Am I going to readjust my sails? Am I going to readjust my vision? Okay. So instead of basketball, it's going to be something else. We reevaluate. What can I do? What touches me? What feels right? And it may be hanging out with basketball teams. It may be, being the announcer for the basketball teams. It may be being the one, being the chaiwala for the basketball teams. Whatever it may be, because as it may turn out, being around basketball really is all I love. Okay. I can make that work. Not exactly in the way I had intended, but no problem. Surely there's some space there for a, short American female who can't dribble. But it requires a readjustment. That's not blaming me. That's not blaming the past. That's not miserable. But that understands, all right, here's where we are, right now. It's up to you. You want to keep trying to sail that boat into the wind? You've got free will. Or do you want to readjust those sails and use the wind in the direction it's blowing to actually go somewhere? And it may not be where you had intended. Maybe you had thought, you were going to get in Ganga and you were going to take your sailboat to Dev Prayag. Well, unfortunately, the currents go in the other direction. So instead, you take your sailboat to Haridwar. That's in the direction the river's flowing. Wasn't what was in your mind. But can you find the divinity there? And if not, well then it means, all right, maybe a sailboat's not supposed to be my method of transportation. Get out of the water, get in a car. A car will get you to Dev Prayag. But something has to be readjusted. And that's the part that we have the free will to write. How am I going to readjust this? How am I going to rewrite this? I thought it was supposed to be sailboat from Rishikesh to Dev Prayag. No, okay. How do I readjust? And that's what each of us is called to do on a pretty regular basis. So where you're going to be tomorrow, whether it's Dev Prayag by car, Haridwar by sailboat, or right here because you adamantly refuse to get out of that sailboat and you want to just keep trying to make it go upstream. So you're still here tomorrow and the day after. It's up to you. That's the part you're writing right now. But you can't change the wind or the current of the water.